All right, y'all. What's up, everybody? Here we are, another Saturday, episode 3 of the Great Western Podcast, where we continue to talk about the Eastern and Western Conference finals. I'll be your host for today, as usual, Mark, the Wizard Masterlian, Laker lover. And here we're joined by Chu, Coach Theory, and Jay.
know,
How you doing, Jay?
Jonathan reporting live from the Frogtown, LA River, y'all.
Wow.
Go Lakers.
I'm David, coming in from Colorado. I've watched all West Coast or Western Conference playoffs and very few Eastern Conference. But also get my hot takes.
What's up? This is Savan. I'm from Paris, but been living in LA and Mexico and hopping around the globe, but always watching basketball. Big fan of Wemby. He's the future of our league.
There we go. I remember last week I forgot to do some intros. I wanted to just, get our viewership to kind of see, who we are, kind of some background and stuff like that before we get into the nitty gritty. Okay. So here, let's just get started. Okay. So we're going to talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. Wow. Right. I think we all took the Knicks, right? All four of us, we took money on the
Did
Knicks
you
last.
freeze?
Is it just Mark that froze?
What's
Yeah.
up? Am I
Yeah,
frozen?
Mark pulled the plug.
Am I
All
frozen?
right. Well,
The Pacers Knicks.
Oh no, did I
Oh, you
freeze?
froze.
yeah,
For a
yeah,
sec.
you
Froze.
For a
froze. There
My
sec.
you
bad.
go.
We're live. We're live.
My connection is
We're good.
unstable. Okay, so we all took money, right? We all bet money on the Knicks. The four of us took money. We have a live bet in.
Oh,
Wow.
yup.
Yeah, so we're down
That
0-2.
one.
What is there to say about this series besides just maybe this, right? Nesmith, legendary fourth quarter six threes. Halliburton, clutch as always. All Pacer starters with 10 plus points in that first game. Brunson had 43. Cat had 35. Still wasn't enough. There were some missed free throws late, maybe some blown calls, but what a crazy series so far. That was game one. Game two, looks like the Knicks kind of pulled it out. I mean, the Knicks didn't have enough, and the Pacers just kind of put the clamps on with Shepard off the bench, McConnell, and then one word for game two, well, which would be Pascal, two words, Pascal Siakam, right? What a performance. You guys, take it away.
Wow.
Take it away, guys.
Wow. All I have to say is Pascal Siakam is the real deal. Just, didn't have a big game one, but came in game two and just absolutely fundamentally took apart 1 through 5 of the Knicks. It was just really impressive to watch. Shu being a big Kawhi guy, I know he has some sort of sentiment towards Siakam.
Siakam is like Kawhi Light.
Kawhi light, like Kawhi. I like it.
He's
The
he's
team of
kind of
Kawhi.
like the Padawan of Kawhi.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. I mean, I just go ahead.
Well,
Pacers are interesting. Here's a team that, what were they, fourth or fifth in the East?
fourth.
Fourth in the East. Regular season, Halliburton. I think he was on my brother's fantasy, and my brother was pissed that he wasn't doing anything all season.
Start
And
on.
it's definitely a team that I didn't have my eye on. I think Chu, you even said you hadn't watched much Pacers, but I think they woke everybody up. It's interesting because on paper, it doesn't seem like this team should be beating any of the teams they've beat so far. And here they are in the Western Conference Finals, and with the shots they're making, with the way they're battling to come back, like Jay said, no lead is safe. Uh, I literally can't even discount them against OKC. It's a team that I don't know well, but what I'm saying is this team, no matter who's on the floor, they're giving it 100%, and they're coming at it. And literally, you could be up 17. I'm like, well, Pacers aren't done.
But I watched my first full Pacers playoff game last night. And yeah, I was just impressed with the way that they can control the tempo, the way that they can manipulate the clock, and they can sense runs. There was I think it was at the end of the second quarter where the Knicks made a run, and TJ McConnell just like like perfect pro off the bench veteran came in, um, slowed it down, got him six quick points either through scoring or assists. Which, by the way, he looks exactly like Brian Hyos.
All right.
Um, which every time I watch, I look
That's
at the
so
guy, I
cute.
imagine because he doesn't look like he just looks like this dude. He looks like one of our friends.
Yeah.
Big
But it
deadhead
also goes
type.
to show how important guard play is in today's NBA because if you have Halliburton and then TJ McConnell, just like you're gonna have 48 minutes of just like pretty good decision making. And all of these four teams have good guards that are remaining. As far as Siakam, it's like, yeah, dude, does this guy like he's just I guess he's underrated because they gave up a couple picks for him, so I guess that shows his value, but um he brings it every night and he's like he doesn't seem to have any flaws, right? Like he plays defense, he can guard multiple positions, he hits shots, he's athletic. He's a great pickup. And the Pacers are very well built. Like if you see how they picked up Nesmith from the Celtics, they made a big trade for Siakam. They bought low on Halliburton. They held on to Turner when every single team in the NBA wanted said or everyone's saying that you should trade him. It's just very well built, and how could you not root for them, even though we bet against them?
I
Yeah.
think I think I think the for pun intended, the pace that the Pacers are playing with, I think it's a little overwhelming at the end of the game for the Knicks to kind of
Yeah.
keep up with. I think they start to fizzle out. We've seen Jalen Brunson take some last minute shots where throughout the course of the playoffs he's just iced them. And he's either short or he's long or he's off. I think he's tired at the end of the game. They're playing him crazy amount of minutes. Um, yeah, I just think the Pacers they're built for that, and I don't think the Knicks know how to really preserve themselves towards the end of the game. And I think Miles Turner, being that like he can shoot from the outside, the big rebounds, the clutch free throws. I mean, I think he's a really valuable component to their winning success.
Which is
So
which is interesting to see because traditionally, especially in tight games or in big playoff games, at the end of the game, usually you see the defense clamp down and the game slow down. So it's interesting to see these guys in the last minute or so still running up and down the court, fast breaks, turnovers, block shots, whatever's happening. It's just as action packed as what I'm used to seeing is okay, the game's on the line. You have the point guard dribble the ball up, he's standing at the top of the key for a while looking for the right play to make. Um, this Pacers playoffs is completely different than what I'm used to. It's very interesting to watch.
Yeah, I mean it's a well-coached team, as we know. We're all of us here are fans of Rick Kyle and his rotations and his defensive schemes. I like his out-of-bounds play calls too, how they're lining up like in the NFL, they're lining up in the back court and like they're running towards like
Well,
court, and then like Nesmith got an open three on that. Um, but yeah, I completely agree in this sense that like they're just playing faster. They're playing faster. They're more on the ball. They're to the loose balls. They're getting all the extra shots, and that's just kind of making the difference. In that first game, when Brunson sat, and I think OG Anunoby had like 5 quick points, and they pushed it out to like a 14, 15 point lead or whatever it was. I was like, okay, Knicks got this game. But then I remember there was two specific points where OG Anunoby missed a free throw and Cat missed a free throw where they were up three and they could have gone up four. And then
well,
they go down to like hit a three on the other end. Nesmith, obviously. Just a missed free throw like that can change the momentum, the course of the game. I think Jay, you were saying it too, like how demoralizing like that kind of loss can be. But I will say that block that it could have been a goaltend, right? That layup that Brunson had where they could have gone
well,
up six. I think it did bounce off the backboard and then Miles hit it and then they hit a three the other way and it went from it was a 5 point swing and you know
huge swing.
it was a huge and like I think if that bucket, I mean we can't go back and do revisionist if that went in or not, but I can't help but think how much momentum of a swing that was when I was watching that game one, and that game one was it was one of the most wild games we've ever seen, I think, really in the history of NBA with the historic aspects of it. But
I think that game one win by the Pacers completely knocked the sails out of it.
absolutely.
There
No,
is like
that's
that
a
happens to
hard.
you in the playoffs, you're
You're done.
more than likely gonna lose the series.
Yeah.
Like that's just like that doesn't
They've had three of those this playoffs though. They've had
yeah.
these crazy
Yeah.
comebacks. Like Matt, did you see the stat? I think of the top six playoff comebacks within the past minute, the history of the NBA playoffs, they had three, or it was like top eight. It
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
tells me that the variance is on their side and they're running hot. And what's unfortunately going to happen is they're going to be on the wrong side. They're going to come back to earth and they're going to be on the wrong side of variance, probably against the best team that we've seen in the past couple of years, the Thunder next
How
week.
exciting is that series going to
We're
be?
not there. We're not
I
there.
OKC.
So we're not there
We're
yet. We're
not
not
there.
there.
I know.
We're not
I
there
know.
yet, boys. All right. Well, so let me tell you though. So no one thinks there's any chance. I mean, you lose 2 games at home. There's no chance the Knicks are cooked. No,
I
no way.
no, I
mean,
think there's always a shot. Like, but yeah, I mean, mathematically, if a win, if the road team wins two on the road, it's like they're done. Um, but you would do, you know who's OG Anunoby is a big dude. Like that guy is like an athlete, man. When you look at that guy,
Absolute beast. Absolute
dude, he looks
beast.
like
One of the
LeBron.
best players. Yeah, no, he's incredible. I was really hoping he would get picked up by the Lakers.
Oh
Um,
my,
Yeah, Lakers home run every time. Every time
that
we play.
no, when I found out he was traded, it was like figuring out that Bentleys went on sale for $1 like a day too late. You know what I mean? Like he
he
is an
would be
incredible player.
he would be a great
But
compliment to Luka.
how about that bounce that Halliburton got?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, my God.
is that the biggest bounce in NBA history?
Which
or
no,
or Kawhi's.
Kawhi's.
The
Kawhi's was
Well,
Kawhi's
way.
Kawhi,
was
I think was in
okay.
a game seven, wasn't that?
I
Was that games? I think that was
Yeah,
game
that was
seven.
game
Was
That
Kawhi?
seven.
was a game
That was
Yeah,
seven.
game seven. And just to see Embiid's face with his hands on his head after and Kawhi in a kneeling position, like that I think that's number one.
it
Yeah, but
destroyed
it's
Ben
definitely
Simmons'
up
career.
there.
It destroyed Embiid.
Ben Simmons was
No,
never
but
the same after that.
what did you guys think of Halliburton's celebration with the Reggie Miller take? I loved
Loved
it.
it. I
I
loved it.
loved it. I
I,
loved
I
it.
So
That's
like
good.
I like
classic.
what Carlisle said about it too. He's like, he's earned it. They're emotional. These things happen. Like, move on. Like he was not dismissive of it, but he was just like kind of like matter of factly saying it. I kind of like that angle too. I like that more.
I like throwbacks to the OGs. Anything that gives a shout to our veterans, I'm all for that.
And Reggie was in the building when he was
Yeah,
commentating.
he was
He was
commentating.
like pointing
Not a
at
fan of his commentating, but you
what
know,
did he say? Reggie, someone
he
he
elects to
elects.
shoot the 3-pointer.
Yeah. Anyway, well, yeah. So
Halliburton, let me just say this. Let me just say this.
yeah, yeah.
Halliburton post game made a great point. He said the NBA is a constant. All these teams are having a constant rotation yearly and overhauls with their rosters. He's like, our organization decided to keep us together, and he's like, I think part of our success is because we were kept together and we've been through battles and we've been through a lot of experiences. He's like, I'm not a vet, but we've been through a lot of things together, and I think that's what's helped us get through difficult situations in these playoffs. And he's right because like it's just it's indicative of society and just always trying to get the better, what's going to be better instead of just sticking with what's working or figuring it out with what you have. And so I think a lot of teams will probably, it's a copycat league, like they say,
Oh
quote
yeah.
unquote. So they're going to be like, oh, wow, maybe we do have to keep our teams together. Maybe we don't need to overload with stars and just try and get the best players on our team. And so I think, as we say, the pendulum shifts.
Right.
Whether it's politics, whether it's NBA elite teams, the pendulum always shifts.
As we say, NBA is a microcosm of life. I'm a firm believer.
Mark the Wizard.
I'm a firm believer. No.
No, but you're right because a lot of these teams are run by Gen X or millennial GMs that now have these short attention spans because they're all scrolling through their phones and they've been, you know what I mean? So it's like the way that we can't focus on a song, we can't listen to a song or an album the whole way through. We're all just click forward, 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 forward. That's how these teams are built also, right? If
Y'all
it
got to
doesn't
go
work, it's
back
like,
to
oh, tweak,
vinyl,
tweak,
man.
tweak. It's like, oh, we got to get Cat in here. We got to make this trade. We got to do this. We got to do this instead of like staying the course.
Yeah, well, maybe it's like fool's gold because we were all. I mean, all of us took the Knicks. I mean, it's crazy how much a week changes you people's opinions about stuff. Even us who are like tuned in and locked into it. I mean,
I mean,
My
on
opinion
paper,
doesn't
they are the
change. We
better
were
team.
we were just wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Fair.
It's also, I mean, we got to look at that game one, right? Because the Knicks were up 17 points with about 4 or 5 minutes left. And
Insane.
then Nesmith comes in and knocks down 6 threes in 4 minutes. That's unheard of.
It's
Everyone's
the
going to
most
remember.
ever. It's the most by any player in any quarter of a playoff series ever.
That's
He's
insane.
getting paid 11 million a year, dude. Like, what a contract.
You got to be happy
Yeah.
for the small market team, though. I know.
Of course. Every America, dude, everyone in America wants them to win, especially when you see all this crap of these fans like just talking shit on win or like throwing shit at like just like these New York fans are
I can't say I like New York fans.
yeah, they suck. They suck, dude.
But
Everyone
for
wants
the
the Knicks
NBA,
the
it's
Knicks to
great to
lose.
have New York and Indiana have a rivalry again. Indiana is a mecca of basketball. It's pretty much where basketball started.
Hoosiers.
Yeah.
You guys ever been to Indiana?
I think I drove
Iowa
through it
State.
once. I think I drove through it once when I did a college.
Never in my life.
I did like a USA tour with Rob and Josh Kankanian back in the day. Remember
Nice.
he had the Miller jersey. Remember Josh had that Miller.
Oh, I do remember that in high school.
Remember that he used to wear it all the time.
I love it.
What a throwback. All right, I guess let's wrap up our conversation on the East Coast. I mean, let's see what happens. When is game 3? Is that today or tomorrow?
It's
Tomorrow.
today, I think.
It's today. It's
Isn't it?
today at 5, I believe. No.
Game 3? We just had Indiana last night.
Wait, are we talking Indiana
Oh,
Knicks?
oh yeah. Sorry. Indiana. My bad. I'm messed up here. Yeah,
Yeah,
Indiana.
today we got Wolves.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My
R-
I'm gonna.
closing
real quick,
remarks. Closing remarks on anything Nick.
closing remarks. I want to do a little history here. So
Let's do
the
it.
best chance that the Indiana Pacers ever had to win a championship was Reggie Miller's was the year of the Malice and the Palace.
Correct.
If you look at that team,
Wow.
if you look at
Yes.
that team, they were stacked, dude. They had
On our test,
Artest, Miller, Jermaine
Steven
O'Neal,
Jackson.
Steve Jackson. They had
Jackson,
like they were built, and the league was down that year. And
Jermaine
yeah,
O'Neal.
Prime Jermaine
and
O'Neal.
Yeah.
I think Jamal Tinsley
Jamal
and
Tinsley.
they were dominating everyone up until the Malice at the Palace, and it was interesting how I mean, listen, if you go back, like obviously you can never run into the stands. Like we
Right.
don't condone violence here on the Great Western Podcast,
You do not.
but you can see why they did it. Like these, like it looked like these people were like throwing shit at them,
Yeah.
and they had won the game. I'm sure you guys have seen like the doc how it goes back
The
a long.
documentary. Everyone, go watch that documentary if you haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
Shout out,
but
Doc.
but
Yeah.
but there is history with the Pacers, just the way that Halliburton was interacting with the fans and that Reggie Miller was interacting with the fans during was it Spike Lee with the original choke and the Malice at the Palace. Indiana has a lot of history interacting with opponents' fans. So I just find that interesting that like certain energies always surround certain entities or teams.
Would you
But yeah,
say
go
they're
Pacers.
instigators?
Oh,
Oh,
that's
hey, let's all say when we think the Pacers are going to finish the Knicks. How many games?
Did
Oh,
we
no,
go
I
through a
honestly at this
7-game
point
series
there's no.
this week?
I have
We've
no
lost all
idea.
credibility. So
Pacers. No, I'm just saying. Like now that the series is shifted, we can have a sorry. We can have a
Yeah.
separate. So right. So it's I think Pacers probably finish them in 5 games.
Maybe. I mean,
more.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think the Knicks go back. Do they take one in Indiana? I think they'll take one in Indiana,
Yes,
and then maybe they'll win one. I'll say 6.
six.
Let's give it Pacers in 6. That's what I'll say.
All right.
Who knows?
I'm
I'm
going
gonna be
Knicks.
wrong.
I'm going Pacers in 7. Pacers in 7. The Knicks are going to fight.
So
I don't know, man. Those shots were so demoralizing for a Knicks fan. I talked to my buddy who's been a Knicks fan his entire life, and he's just been waiting for Knicks. We talk ball a lot. He's just been waiting for Knicks to get better. He was stoked when Randall came, but then obviously Randall didn't pan out in New York. He was there through the
Pacers in.
pay. I don't know, man. Sweep. Let's get it done.
Okay, I got Pacers in 5. I got Pacers in 5.
All right, boys.
Sweet.
Or you
Yeah,
said
I
6.
got.
Yeah, no, he was just like, there's no recovering from this. As a fan, he said that. And I don't know if you heard that the between the free throws, stadium was silent.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
We need a
The
we need a
energy
field trip.
coming.
We need a field trip to fuck it. We should go to Indiana. We should do a field trip to Indiana one of these years. Live pod.
Well, we'll get on the podcast credit card when we get one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
okay, but yeah, that's a really nice point. That'd be cool. Like that historic point about the Malice and the Palace shoe that take me back a lot. We've been
They
all
were robbed, dude. They were robbed like, that they were gonna win the championship that year. If you look at the other teams, I think the Spurs won it or that year.
I
Oh
don't.
five, yeah, Spurs won.
Nice. All right, boys. So look, so that was a spirited talk discussion about the Eastern Conference Finals with the Knicks and the Pacers. Let's shift gears, to the West Coast like we've been doing, where the OKC Thunder with the newly crowned NBA MVP SGA have a commanding 2-0 lead against the Timberwolves. Timberwolves came out hot in game one. I remember we were watching that together, right? Jay and Sylv, we were watching
Yep.
that together at Danny's bar down in Frogtown.
Right,
Uh,
the speakeasy,
yeah.
Danny's speakeasy.
Okay. Next caller, maybe be invited down there to join and watch with us. But anyway, let's see. So, what's the story of this? Is it the Thunder D? Is it the SGA foul baiting situation? It was it a Randall no?
Ready?
Was it a Randall no show in the second game? I remember in game two, Chet and Jalen Williams both had 20 plus points. Is that a recipe for success for them with Shea dropping 38? Is it the speed of the Thunder? Is it the Timberwolves not living up to expectations? What's going to go on in this series? Can the Wolves, take game three, which is going to be today, actually? Are we going to see a series out of this, or where do we go? What are you guys thinking here?
Take it away, Chew. I know
Take it
you
away,
got a
boys. I know
mouthful
Chew,
for this
Chew,
one.
Chew's
Chew's
ready
been
for this
waiting.
one.
No. This is an all-time great Thunder defense, all-time great NBA defense that we've ever seen. So they just played um, a very center focused offense with Jokic and owned him defensively better than anyone has ever stopped or slowed him down. And now they're playing the exact opposite, right? So they're playing like Gobert is basically the opposite player of Jokic, right? He has no hands, he has no touch, but the T-Wolves have great perimeter players.
That's so big. Yeah, that's so big.
And they're playing them equally as well. They're playing both styles equally as well, right? It's like whatever they can play, they're so impressive defensively. I like from the weak side, their help defense from the weak side they create so much offense off turnovers, off these strips from the weak side. It's very impressive. Um, and then I just want to say about SGA, like he is definitely the closest thing to a mature Kobe, like a 31, 32-year-old Kobe that had all the footwork, had all the post game, the mid range game. He wasn't athletic as Kobe, but he's probably just as, if not more, fundamentally solid in the mid range. And he's the closest thing to Kobe I've seen. I mean, it's not even. He's right there. He's so impressive, and he's so measured, and he doesn't get too emotional. And did you guys see when he got pushed? Um, the T-Wolves guard, what's his name? He pushed him down because he was frustrated. It's like, dude,
Yeah, yeah.
these guys are in. Yeah,
Caleb
like
McDaniel.
they're in their heads, dude. Like once that I saw that, I'm like, oh, this thing is over, dude. Like now they're just pushing. They're just literally pushing him on the floor, and then he gets up. Just he's cool, calm, and measured, and sinks free throws. He's a great free throw shooter. Like very impressed. This is probably the best defensive team of the past 20 years since the my Detroit Pistons beat
Wow.
your
Okay.
Lakers super team,
Enough
and
history.
they might be better than that. But I mean, that team was impressive because they slowed Shaq. Um, they stopped Shaq basically. But yeah, so impressed with the Thunder. They're so good, and this could be the beginning of a dynasty.
Two
Oh,
words. Two words come to mind. Craigslist Caruso.
there you go.
A little
Honestly,
background on that. My dad coined Craigslist Caruso that name because we were watching the Lakers one day, and my dad was like, "Where did they find this guy on Craigslist?"
right.
So Caruso he's that guy on defense. He is
So
guarding one
good.
five. He's getting under you. He's pressuring you, and he creates a spark defensively for this team that I think just takes them to the next level on defense. I mean, they are so overwhelming, and they do all of the little things that really create turnovers that they turn into points. And I think that is just too overwhelming for the Timberwolves. And it's like when a bully like the Timberwolves get punked over and over, they start to take cheap shots, and I think that's what we saw with Jaden McDaniels. And it's like they're kind of unraveling because of the defensive prowess and the offensive juggernaut that is the OKC Thunder. And it's impressive to watch. And so I've shifted I'm no longer rooting for the Timberwolves, and now
There you go.
I think OKC is the more honorable team, and I think they're better coach, and they're better collectively. So Thunder.
Uh, One thing I noticed about the last game, it is this playoffs, it's a bit different because we have so many road wins, but protecting home court, winning 2 games home court, if you're the away team, you come back, you got 2 at home. You're supposed to defend home court, right? So we wouldn't be seeing anything out of the ordinary. But the way in which OKC won was pretty convincing. What I would like to point out, and was a real head scratcher for me, because you're essentially sending a message to one of your stars in Randall by not playing him in the fourth. The guy went what, 2 for 11, which is terrible, sure.
Right.
But by not playing him in the fourth, what message are you sending him for the rest of the series? Right?
Tape up or ship out.
I mean, is that the message you want to send them? Usually you ride with your players. 2 for 11 doesn't mean you're going to miss the next one. You know what I'm saying?
No, but he just didn't have it going for them. So they're just trying to find some spark. I mean, that doesn't mean that they won't go to
I get that, but you're also risking sacrificing a lot. I hope Randall.
You're down 20. You have to try something else.
You have to.
Yeah, but I don't know if Randall was necessarily the problem. Yeah, he missed shots, but he wasn't so much more valuable in it.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't even give him a shot, and their lead exploded in the fourth.
I think they're realizing quickly, and that they're not good enough.
I think that's pretty evident.
We're
facing an incredible team here. The more I watch them,
what do you got, Mark?
I mean, I will say I do think that on paper that the Timberwolves team should be able to play a little bit closer or more tougher. Like they have length, they have they have defensive players. Like they have a solid bench. They're big. They like you said, they were the bullies. So I thought we'd see a little bit more from the Timberwolves, pushing back against OKC. But as we said, as Sylvain was saying, it's 2-0 going back to Minnesota. I think, SGA, I mean, Ant is going to come out. I think there's going to be something. They're going to push back. I don't think they're going to lay down. This team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year as well, they got Conley, good leadership. I mean, this is my point. Last series, I think all of us had Denver, So it's like, I think all of us, I think all of us were like, well, I think we'll take Denver in this series. And then like last Sunday, it was game 7. It was like a blowout. We're like, oh, I guess we were wrong on that one too. So, OKC, they're playing really good. They're playing really good right now, and with Case and Wallace off the bench, and Caruso and Wiggins, and just like this, the way they're playing. Like it's always like, what have you done for me lately, kind of thing. I was telling Sylvain about this. Like every time the game happens, you have different narratives that you can switch into, right? Oh, if the OKC plays well, they're deep. If they lose, they don't have enough experience. Timberwolves, if they play well, they're well built. If they lose, they're this. So I I do think the Timberwolves they'll win one of these games, I'm going to say. Will they win both? I hope so for basketball. I want to see more basketball. I want to see them push back. I want them to make a series out of this.
And series doesn't start until you lose on your home floor.
Yeah. So,
Exactly.
but I will say I did enjoy, and this kind of dovetails into the conversation we had last week about, Chu saying that SGA was the closest thing to Kobe, and then maybe there's some ideas out there that Ant is maybe a bit closer, or whatever. I really liked the way that SGA handled his MVP kind of ceremony or whatever, thanking his wife, and I like that kind of stuff, and that speaks to what Chu was saying about the leadership and the organization building attitudes and stuff. The way what did he say? I mean, I teared up honestly. My wife and I too. He was like, what did he say? Something about like you showed me what true love is and stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I like that. I really like.
World needs more of that.
We need that, and that's I don't know if that's a hot take or something, but I like that.
It's better than a scumbag winning MVP, right?
What do you got,
So
Chu?
did you guys know that both SGA and Kobe were drafted and then immediately traded by Charlotte?
I
Wow.
didn't know that SGA was drafted by Charlotte.
SGA was also drafted by Charlotte.
I
He
thought
was
they traded
drafted by Charlotte and then they traded him to the Clippers on draft night.
Curse.
Wow.
Sylvan's gonna have a Thunder SGA jersey on next episode.
That's right.
So who in the past since the year 2000 is the closest player to Kobe? I know you guys haven't thought about it, but who would you say
I
each?
mean, this is a ridiculous question when you're asking like,
Yeah.
you know.
It's got to
Just
be
name one.
I
There's got to be one
mean,
player that
Kobe
reminds
won
there's
his
you.
nobody
five
that has
chips, man.
there's nobody that has a
Like
mid
these
range
aren't
like
these aren't
SGA.
even conversations I care to entertain.
Dang. Shut down.
It's it's SGA and it's not even close.
See, that's
Yeah.
the thing. I think leadership wise and like commitment wise, you can give it to SGA right now over now. But I think
No,
athletic,
but their game is the same.
I think Ant's game looks more like Kobe's game, at least in like the early Kobe. Because how old is SGA? He's a little bit older, right, than Ant, isn't he?
How old is
Yeah,
SGA?
he's 3 years older.
He's a little bit older, so I feel like I do see a young Kobe and SGA. I do see that tenacity, but I do think that poise. I think Kobe played with a little bit more uh
Ferociousness.
Their instinct.
emotion and assertiveness. And SGA is a little bit
But
cooler. He's a little bit cooler.
SGA is cooler, but he also involves his team, and so I think he has the potential to go further. Because Kobe, part of what the knock on Kobe in the beginning was that he couldn't communicate with his team.
Right.
He was selfish. He didn't think anybody worked as hard as him. Whereas SGA is more like Sylvan's favorite player, LeBron. Where he's bringing up his team.
Oh, don't say it.
He's trying to bring the team together, and he will pass up his own shot if there's a better shot for his teammate. And so I think he has the potential to go further. I think it's their year. I really do. I think
Okay.
they have all the pieces. I think they play collectively, but man, that Pacers OKC series, woo, that's going to be a shootout.
Let's see. So I guess keeping it on the series. Jay, you say no chance Timberwolves can win this series. Sylvain, Chu, no chance Timberwolves can win this series.
No, I
I
mean
mean,
they'll probably get one at home and then I mean it could go six.
I want them to get two at home. What I was disappointed in is a couple times throughout this series, the Wolves have been down and they need Ant to step up, and he hasn't. I remember game one. I think Jay and I, when we were watching it, we both said we looked at each other. We're like, Ant needs to step up right now, and couldn't do it. Or I don't know if he couldn't. He didn't.
Look,
Um,
and also,
like,
they oh, go ahead, so.
well, I'd just like to see that from him, and if he can, take over game two, because he has the energy, he has the poise, he has everything. It's just he's not doing it like we know he can, right? So if he can do that in game two, game three and four, if they pull out two wins, it's anybody's series.
Here's the deal, though. Minnesota threw like, I don't know, maybe I think I noticed maybe like 3 or 4 different types of zones at OKC in the fourth quarter last game. They had some success, but it just shows you that like they really don't have the answer. Like you just at some point in these playoffs, and unfortunately it happened to our Lakers in like the first game or two, where I was just like, they're just not good enough. You're just not good enough. And you have
The
to
other
realize
team's
that.
better.
You can have any kind of miracle, whatever. You're just not good enough. Sorry.
Well,
And
With
yeah, go Chu.
with the history of trading away a max player in James Harden, like they have history, it was a pretty ballsy trade to trade Giddy, who's probably going to get a max or a
Oh,
near
great,
max.
great, yeah, great point. The move for Giddy for Caruso was a very kind of
That's a risky play, especially for a franchise that has the history of trading away James Harden, right? I'm not saying that Giddey's James Harden, but I think that we saw, especially in the second half of the season, that he's I mean he's a max player, and so
Giddy's a
that's one
max
of those
player.
I
trades
don't
where it's
know
like,
that. Talk about a hot take.
Whoa, that's a hot
Giddy's
take
a
right
max
there.
player.
That's a
I
hot
mean,
take.
he did step up a lot in the second half, and he was supposed to be this like coming out of what Australia, right? I mean, I think it remains to be seen what his arc is, and obviously you know what Caruso is, but I mean they made that move because of they got Caruso and they got Hardenstein because they weren't tough enough, they weren't deep enough, they weren't big enough last year,
I'll
right?
tell you what, Giddy's going to be playing on bottom teams in the East for the rest of his career.
There you go.
Maybe
Hot
some
take.
idiot team will max him like the Wizards, but he ain't going
So
nowhere.
he's a max player on a bad team.
He's a max player on a bad team, sure. He'll average
dude, he's still
22
like
Wow.
points.
23 or something.
Wow. I don't know. I mean,
Sure,
I
but
don't think. I mean, there's a
I
lot of
don't see him at all as a star.
trajectories here on I think Giddy. I think depending on how it pans out, where he goes. I mean, he had a great season with the Bulls. That team had a decent like run at the end there, but they're not really quite there. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, and I also think beyond just good Giddy in himself, like he's not the player, and he's not the to play next to Shea. Shea is the a ball dominant one guard. They're the same. They're too close. They can't be on the court at the same time, and he's not a sixth man. I mean, I guess theoretically you could bring Giddy off the bench and run your bench unit and have a dominant thing like that, but they got something for him, and I think it's panning out right now for sure.
I'm not even sure why we're talking about Giddy.
We're talking about Caruso. No, okay, all right, all right.
Uh, hey, let's give us a small round of applause for Chet. Chet is he's playing so well. I mean,
Yeah,
he fills his role, he's not trying to be anything more than what he is. And I think he makes the good plays. I mean, he could be a little bit more aggressive, but I think he's fits in the role really nicely. And
Yeah, and he's improving every year.
yeah.
He's
yeah,
improving too.
yeah, I
He
got
had
respect for Chet.
he had 20 points. He had 20 plus points in game two. Right? He had 22. And if he's scoring 20 points a game, because he's not like a high scorer guy, right? And they're one, two, three, like, SGA, Williams, and Chet, they are very good, like diversified, like three-pronged, attack both sides of the ball too. They
Yeah.
both they don't overlap each other too much with their skill sets. They play defense well together. And yeah, I mean this is what you're supposed to see from Chet and from Williams, and that what you were hoping to see for them to get this far.
He's a
Yeah,
smart player for sure. I love watching him battle Wemby. Whenever the two of them play each other, it's beautiful to watch.
They're going to have some great battles. The next 10 years is going to be
Absolutely.
epic.
yeah,
It'd be amazing to watch.
I mean,
for sure.
let's not forget Dort. Like for real, like big up, like
Yeah.
Dort has been. I think he's the longest tenured player on that Thunder team right now. Is he or like
Oh,
close to?
yeah.
Which is what, 5 years?
He's that guy, like he's that defensive stopper, and then like he starts, right? Obviously, and he's a huge part of their success. And um
He earned it.
yeah, he earned it. And he's the kind of player you want on the team. He's definitely one of those guys like stat driven players.
If he stayed his whole career in OKC, he'd be like the Udonis Haslam of the
Udonis Haslem.
Thunder.
Nick Collison.
Yeah, but
Right?
Udonis Haslem can probably walk into any club in Miami and be like the king.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So I guess we'll see. By this time next week, the Great Western Podcast on these Saturday mornings. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, no, we'll see. I mean, it's been a lot of fun watching these games, and I just want to see some more good basketball. So guys, I mean, any final remarks
It's
on?
definitely been the best playoffs I've seen.
It's been great. Yeah.
It's definitely been the best playoff run I've seen in I don't know, since I mean I was a big fan of the Warriors, obviously, so probably since back then,
Nice.
the
Okay.
14, 15, 16.
Yeah, I think it's OKC's year.
Okay.
I think it's OKC versus Pacers in the finals. I think that goes 7 games, and I think we have one of the greatest playoff tournaments in the history of the NBA.
Dude, seriously.
I remember watching the Warriors in 2015 when everyone said jump shooters can't win championships. And it was it was exactly what happened to OKC. Every round they were just killing people and people were making excuses why it happened. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, they were one of the greatest basketball teams ever assembled. And like, I don't know, the Thunder kind of remind me of this Thunder reminds me of a 2015 Warriors. And they have the assets to maneuver over the next couple of years if they need to get rid of contracts or take on, like, they're so well positioned to potentially run this thing back the next 5 years.
Let's see them win it
Yeah,
first.
they have picks they could trade too.
Yeah.
Anything they need to
Yeah, they're
address. They're in
deep.
a very good
Presti
position.
got GM of the year, right? All right. So before we wrap it up, here we go. Watch this. This is going to be my hot take segment. I know we love the hot takes. Who has a burning basketball hot take? Anyone before we wrap it up? It could be anything related, historic, next year. Just a little teaser for the fans. Where are you guys at?
If you're starting a franchise, who you taking, Jalen Brunson or Halliburton?
Ooh.
Halliburton.
You want to elaborate?
I just think, honestly, you can't go wrong with both of them. I mean, those are two great point guards. I like Halliburton better. Like, I just feel like Brunson is just kind of small. What about you?
I think Halliburton's height. I'm a big fan of tall point guards ever since the Lakers and Phil Jackson, and I think that his height and his he's a true point guard with the skill to light it up from the outside. So yeah, I'm taking Halliburton.
I'll take Brunson just because, he's kind of a dog. He's a good leader, and I think he's kind of underrated. And I don't think people thought he'd be anywhere near this. When coming out of Villanova, and playing for the Mavs. I like his story. I like his narrative. I'm happy for his success. I don't hate on Halliburton, but I'll take Brunson. Just for the sake of it here.
Right?
You got a hot take, Sally?
Here's another hot take.
Yeah.
For the upcoming draft, everyone's taking Cooper Flag first, so it
Mm.
looks like Dallas is going to take that. Number two pick is San Antonio. They may or may not trade it, but my hot take is Dylan Harper will have a better career than Cooper Flag.
Dang.
Dylan
I mean,
Harper,
that's the
Ron Harper's son.
Harper is the I think that's like what the talk is about who they're gonna take, or they're gonna either trade the pick or get Harper, probably, right?
They'll probably trade it because Ron Harper. I think he's at the guard position. They're stacked at the guard position. You got Castle, who's an amazing pick, just won Rookie of the Year. Amazing defensive player. A bit undersized. His shot will drop eventually, but I love watching Castle play. They're definitely gonna. In fact, I think they moved Vassell to the bench for a while to try to get Castle to develop. But I think they will trade that pick. But I still think Dylan Harper, given the right opportunity, will have a better career than Cooper Flag.
Dang. I will
More,
that's
more
good.
skilled player. That's
The legacy league narrative continues.
Yes.
It's just everyone's kids playing in the NBA.
That's
Yeah.
cool for us, to see that too. But we're gonna have a lot of this. I think we should kind of build
It
this.
is. It is. But let me just say this, and maybe we can get into this in the summer.
Yeah.
To me, it's. I don't want to say. Is it like nepotism? I'm not too familiar with the term, but
That
it's
would
like
be well.
really these players' kids have all of the financial backing in the world to get top training, and it's just like that's just kind of what it's turning into. It's like, oh, I sent my kid to a school to training his entire life.
I mean, they still got to play. You still got to bring it, right? I mean, it's hard to be in the NBA. It doesn't matter who's your parent.
I mean, Bronny
Th-
James is going to win us 5 chips.
All
So
right. Okay.
Guys, it's a microcosm of society, like the middle class,
Dang,
the
back
middle class
around.
all right, we're done.
the
Oh,
middle class of the NBA prospect is being diminished, and it's going the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, right? So if you have all the tools and coaches to become a good shooter, you're going to get that, and so obviously the stars will shine through eventually.
But
But my hot take is in 2027, Luka Doncic will be playing in the East Coast.
whoa. I like hot, hot, hot. All right, we'll see. All right, boys. So that wraps up episode 3 of the Great Western Podcast. Hope you guys enjoy. All right.
All right, these guys.
Y'all.
all right, have a good one.